We've heard about them there. Michael Myers, Halloween Ends rumors, haven't we, Alanis?
Unfortunately.
Are you prepared for the ride that Halloween Ends is going to bring us, man?
It's not the way I like to enter a horror movie. Not the right kind of horrified.
Yep.
Sensation.
Terrified for all the wrong reasons. Fuck his knife. What about the plot? Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pop Vultures episode 4. I'm your host, Tommy West, and joining me as always is my co-host, Alanis Maxim.
Greetings.
Now, we're just going to get straight into it. Leave us a comment and a like if you can. Story number 1. Halloween Ends sounds concerning. Let's talk about it, Alanis. Now, before we talk about it, I'm just going to read you this little note. I've got some additions to add since we wrote this, so I'll probably add them in just as we chat. So I'm going to do this. Halloween Ends is officially releasing into theaters and streaming service Peacock on October 14th, marking the 13th Halloween movie in the franchise and the third and final movie in this new trilogy of Halloween movies, which started with Halloween, released in 2018, and continued with Halloween Kills, which released in 2021. This movie marks the end of this storyline for Laurie Strode. Michael Myers in the town of Haddonfield. This movie marks the end of this storyline for Laurie Strode, Michael Myers, and the town of Haddonfield, and will apparently give us a finale unlike any other in the franchise before. One noteworthy piece of news is that the BBFC, Britain's version of the MPAA, has given this movie a rating of 15+. The previous 2 entries in this trilogy had been given ratings of 18+. After how brutal Halloween Kills was with its kill count, is this a departure that the filmmakers chose due to the backlash of that last film, or was this intended the entire time? And do we think this is possibly pointing to some disappointing news for us Halloween Michael Myers fans? Alanis, with that information, tell me, how do you feel?
I was in denial, I think, but everything right now is pointing to the way that it's not going to be good. And I just hope, if this is all true, it's at least delivered in an alright way that kind of like the concept of when we initially saw Jamie kind of stab her mum, where it's like, hey, that could work. Maybe it'll be like a Hail Mary that does work, but at this point in time, that's what I'm hoping for. If it has to be this way.
Well, there's more news that's come out about this since we talked about it. So since I wrote this news story. So originally it was about how did we think this was going to be less violent, less scary, less everything Michael Myers basically. With its new rating, I'm still wanting to know that question, but I also am more concerned with how this movie is being treated by Universal Pictures at the moment. It's like, first we hear that it's coming out on Peacock as well as cinemas, which I almost feel like is signing its death notice immediately. Like with Halloween Kills, it was different because it released during a pandemic, and cinemas were like, basically no one was going to movies. I went still, but like it released onto Peacock because of that reason. Now I feel like, look what HBO Max, man. They just stopped releasing all their cinema movies onto the streaming service because it was hurting their back pocket too much. Now, I'm confused as to why you would send the last movie in this franchise, Halloween Ends, which obviously has some buzz around it. Obviously is hyped in the horror community. It's one of the most anticipated movies of the year. Just an event, it feels like an event. And they've kind of like been like, well, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like that's how it's kind of been treated, which means how much do they believe in this movie? How much do they think this is going to do well? And the second thing I have to ask is, first of all, I want to laugh because we posted about this a month ago. We posted a video about the potential plot leak that we've had revolving around Michael Myers being wounded, having this new kid, Corey, take up the mantle and sort of like either nurse Michael Myers back to health or take up the reins of Michael Myers. And look, we talked about that and we were blasted by people saying, don't you see that this is all what they want us to think like this is all marketing. This is like, so that when you go into the movie, you have no idea. And I hate to say it, but I think it's correct. I think what we got told is exactly what's going to happen in this movie. If you go see the behind the scenes footage that we just got released by Universal Pictures, again, spoiling their own movie, there's a kid named Corey. He seems pretty creepy. He finds Michael Myers dead in the sewers. Michael Myers, even David Gordon Green, the director, has been sitting in interviews saying Michael has walked away to die in the woods, basically like an animal would give up until he's basically found by this guy named Corey. And Jamie Lee Curtis is not worried about Michael. She's worried about the other threat, which is Corey. And I'm like, well, we reported on it and we were looking at potential plot leaks. And now I'm pretty much like 99% sure that that's what's going to happen. How about you?
I'm very close to that as well. And anything we've seen in those trailers that could hint that it is Michael, not this Corey guy. We live in a day and age where trailers can't be trusted. There's fake shoots done, there's editing done. You never get what's necessarily in the film with the trailer anymore. You get misdirects, and yeah.
But the problem with that idea is there isn't just trailer footage about this now. There is
actual
behind the scenes footage of him with walking up to Laurie, like being sort of like a shadowy figure. You know what I mean? Like there is David Gordon Green saying like, this is what happened. There's this Corey new like character, like, and blah, like there's interviews about it and everything, like now if they're talking about it, he's talking about it in the way that like, he's trying to sell us on the idea of why this person needs to be in this movie and stuff. If this was like something they were worried about with bad press, people taking it the wrong way, which I'm sure they're worried about now that they're seeing sort of the reaction to it. Like, do you really think that they'd be steering the movie in that direction when people are so keen on going to see it? And now suddenly they're probably like, I'll just watch it on Peacock or download it off torrent sites or whatever, because they're like disheartened by what this plot could be. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's worrying.
Yeah. And I mean, that's the thing as well, with putting it on streaming straight away, you're going to take that hit because not only is it you're losing a bit of revenue streaming it, it's instantly open for piracy. So there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go, I'm jumping on Yuffie torrents and I'm getting this movie. I'm not going to even pay for a monthly subscription to Peacock.
Yeah, well, I don't even think we can get Peacock in Australia. Yeah. So where do you think that movie's going to go? Torrent sites.
Yeah, I wonder who it's stream with. Has it even been given a streaming service?
Well, all of them are on like Prime. So Prime. I'm going to have a look. Halloween ends streaming Australia. Have a look if it's like going to get put up on the same day. So no, it's just going to Peacock. So it's not like when we got Prey, where we got it like, Prey was Hulu, and we don't have Hulu. So it was on Star or some shit, which is some streaming service that is like on top of your Disney Plus, I guess. I had that weekly trial. I didn't pay for Prey. I paid for Disney Plus. I didn't even pay for the weekly trial to that Stars thing. So, like, look, all I can say is that me and Alan will be at the earliest session on release day at the movies. I'm not seeing this movie on a streaming service. I've seen the previous Halloweens in the movies, and I plan on doing the same thing with this one. It's the end one of this saga, and I want to see it. And I don't think streaming it does me justice. But I will be watching it back from the moment I get home, like studying this movie so we can do our ranked and reviewed episode of it and talk about it on whatever. But all I can say is that that rating as well that Britain gave it, like, it worries me, man. This movie's going to be weak.
Yeah, I'm trying to enter in with no hopes or expectations at this point. That
That's
way,
what pisses me off, man, is that like this movie was the only movie this year that I was like this amped for. You know what I mean? And now I'm hearing all this stuff, and it's like I already had my hopes held high, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep.
God, we're going to talk about it soon, but what if Scream 6 does this same shit, man? Like,
it's a worry. It is a worry.
Michael, what have they done to you, man? But yeah, there's a lot of photos, still images that are being put out of Michael. The fact that there's a photo out of him stabbing through a pillow, nearly stabbing someone, and he's got a wedding ring or like jewelry on his finger and not missing any of his fingers, bodes not well for this movie. That's all I could say. Also, I don't believe the mask in that who's shots is the same mask, or I think it might be like fresh looking mask. I don't know, man. But apparently Michael comes back at the end and there's a big confrontation with Laurie Strode and stuff, but how much are we actually getting? Because David Gordon Green even said that this movie is more about people's emotional connections with each other and building relationships and stuff. And I was like, no. Like,
to that I say,
the time for that was Halloween 2018. If you want to build a story with characters that's going to bridge a trilogy and you're going to have Halloween Ends as like the final one, like, why are you bringing in characters now that had nothing to do with those movies? And doing the other characters, I don't understand how this story could. This story may as well not continue from Halloween Kills, because there is literally a 5-year gap in between Halloween Kills and what happens in Halloween Ends. It's 5 years, man. So this can be a whole basically brand new story just with the same cast. Like, it doesn't even feel like it's a branching story anymore. It feels like a complete new entry. I don't fucking get it, man.
It boggles my mind. It
Fucking hell, man.
I wish I had answers.
We will have answers in less than 4 weeks. On the 13th of October, we get it, which is the day before America. So we'll let you know if this is worth your time or not. And if it's not, I'll be crying, I'll be yelling, I'll be smashing my TV saying no more Michael Myers ever again. I say bring back Halloween 3.
Sequel to Halloween. I reckon that's the next logical step.
Or let Rob Zombie make a third one and fucking correct his mistake from the second one, you know?
Happy Halloween.
Silver Shamrock. Well, with that, let's get into our second story. Before I explode with rage thinking about more of these Michael Myers facts. And that is, we have some new information on Scream 6. We've got some information on Ghostface and the new setting. And we've actually got some interesting quotes from Melissa Barrera, I believe her name is, from Scream. She's the main star from Scream 2022 / Scream 6. So I'll read this. As reported by multiple sources, Scream 6 is ditching its home setting of Woodsboro in the upcoming Scream movie, right now only known as Scream 6, which is set to release on March 31st, 2023. The new setting is quite a drastic change up from for the series, with it now having the backdrop of New York City. Their new film continues the events from the previous installment, which was released earlier this year, January 14th. And in a recent interview, Melissa Barrera talked about the change of scenery and what we can expect from Ghostface in this next outing. She said, quote, it's like 20 more times mortifying. It's awful because you also see how, in a city like New York, everyone is kind of doing their own thing and someone is screaming for help and no one will come to their help, the actress was quoted saying. She continued, no one comes to help them, you know. Everyone is kind of like, I'm not getting into that. So it's mortifying because you're getting chased by Ghostface, but you also see humanity and how that reacts to a situation like that. Anyway, I think I've said too much, but just know it's more gory. And then she said, after saying she said too much, I think this is probably the most aggressive and violent version of Ghostface we have ever seen, which I think is fun to shoot. Alanis, what do we think of the new location, the thought of it being more dangerous in New York City, and what do we think of Ghostface by the sounds of it compared to Ghostface in previous installments?
I'm intrigued, and I'm also wondering what the body count will be like putting it into New York.
Well, I understand what she meant because it's like Halloween set in, like it's set around Halloween. It's New York City. Everyone's out trick or treating and shit. And if someone's yelling like "help" on Halloween, you're like going to be like, fucking Halloween party. You know, like that's kind of cool. That'll work. That works. And you know what? Backing off the last story we just talked about, Halloween. While my main concerns at the start were with this movie, my concerns have shifted away from Scream 6 to Halloween because from the sounds of it, this is going to be Scream, but in New York City, with a higher body count and a more aggressive Ghostface, which is something that I would have loved to hear, that Michael's more aggressive than ever in Halloween Ends, but whatever. And it's cool too because I think that whole thing of like people coming to help and stuff, it'll be cool to see like a body count, like maybe he'd like, rather than just setting up a kill, bringing someone, killing and, you know, leaving the party and no one knowing what the hell happened. I'd love to see him go on a rampage and kill everyone in a room. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
that would be dope. The other thing about it is that it also interests me that, like, as I said in the intro just then, like, they're taking away from Woodsboro. And I know this isn't the first time they've taken it away from Woodsboro. We've had Hollywood. We've had the campus from Scream 2. But, you know, Scream is set to the backdrop of, like, usually a small town or a movie lot, like in Scream 3, I guess. So, Alanis, how do you feel about them changing up the scenery to, like, a New York City style thing? Because I think that's an interesting choice to make for something like Scream.
It is interesting. I think it could work. It's going to be very different, but I think done right, it could make for a nice installment there. I think in the same way, if they didn't change it up and kept it in Woodsboro, there's also maybe a slight risk that it could feel stale. So I think it might even be the right idea to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I didn't bring this up before. I should have. But David Gordon Green for Halloween in an interview said, I don't want to make the same movie 3 times, which is a funny thing to say when you've signed on to make 3 Halloween movies. And just signed on to make 3 Exorcist movies.
Oh, no.
So we're getting a trilogy of Exorcists after this. And he said he doesn't want to make the same movie 3 times. What's he going to do? Make the demon actually Jesus Christ or some shit? You know, like...
I don't want to make a movie about possession the same 3 times. The first one and last one would be all about character building.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say too. Like, you don't hear Scream 6 being like, we got a lot of new character building. Like, they know what people are there for.
That's exactly it. And they've introduced, well, the last movie they introduced almost a whole new cast. That was structured fine. By the end of the movie, most of those people are dead. You don't need to know a lot about them.
Again, I know I should have taken notes. There's one other thing I wanted to say about Halloween Ends too. Jamie Lee Curtis gave away how this movie starts off, Halloween Ends. She says it starts off with Halloween night and a babysitter at home with the child she's looking after, and everything goes to shit. And then, if you read the plot synopsis that got leaked, this Corey kid is looking after a kid, and the kid falls and dies, and he gets blamed for it, and he's like shunned, and then he finds Michael Myers and wants to get his revenge on everybody. And dude, she gave away the starting, and it's exactly what the plot leaks were. So it's like, fuck, man. Like, there's just more arrows pointing to that movie just having been completely spoiled for us. We know it's going to start. We know it's going to finish off with Laurie and Michael battling it out, like, and Michael's going to die. With Scream, I literally can't see what's coming.
Yeah.
It just feels like a different idea. It feels like they haven't told us what the plot is. They haven't told us what the motive for this person is. Like, when you go into a Scream movie, you don't even know who fucking did it, like, till the end of the movie. Like, that's the whole point of these movies, you know? I don't understand how something like Scream 6 can keep itself so under wraps, but a big-ass movie in a trilogy that's made hundreds of millions of dollars and has been panned but popular by everyone. Like, I don't understand how you can do that, you know? Like, I don't know, man. It's very interesting. All I can say about Scream 6 is Ghostface sounds badass. Ghostface is always badass. I like the New York backdrop. I wonder how much brutality we're going to have, and I wonder how they're going to justify this movie, because as I said, like, I feel like it's getting justified every time I read a new news story about Scream 6, whereas with Halloween Ends, I feel like it's getting more unjustified by the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Halloween Ends will surprise us with its amazing character development, its relationships it builds, and it's like no killing and G for everyone. Rated G for everyone. Michael Myers is just doing the fucking baby shark, you know?
Although I'll watch that.
While Ghostface is fucking raw dogging him. All right, let's move on to our next story. Now, Alanis, you might care a little bit more about this story from the actual movie aspect. I care about this story a lot more due to the technology aspect. Now, let's bring it up. 3D isn't dead, according to James Cameron in this Avatar 2 interview / some news we've got. Let's read up on this. I think this is a kind of interesting thing to listen to, because I've got a question for you, Alanis, at the end of this, and you're going to be like, what the fuck? Because I was confused too. All right. Avatar director James Cameron insists 3D is not dead and confirms Avatar 2 will release in 3D in December of this year. After the huge box office success of Avatar when it was released way back in 2009, catapulting its way into the most successful movie of all time, we always knew a sequel was inevitable and a no-brainer. The original movie utilized stereoscopic 3D and made the movie a spectacle that made the movie a must-see event. Countless other movies followed using the same 3D technology, and it even became an option at home with the release of 3D televisions. We waited much longer, though, than anyone anticipated for a sequel to this beloved movie, but we don't have to wait much longer, as the much-anticipated sequel, Avatar: Way of the Water, releases into theaters, including IMAX, in 3D on December 16th. In a recent interview with Avatar creator James Cameron, the discussion of 3D came up, and this is what the Avatar director had to say. 3D sort of appears to most people to sort of be over, but it's not really over. It's just been accepted. It's just now part of the choices that you face when you go to a theater to see a blockbuster movie. So you can choose to see it in 2D and choose to see it in 3D, generally speaking these days. You can also, that was his quote, end quote. You can also catch a remastered version of the original Avatar releasing later this month. And I'm guessing that's in selected theaters, because I haven't seen anything about it in every other theater, though, you know. I'm sure it'll probably go to IMAX for a few screenings and stuff like that. And we're finishing it off here. This is a question I have for you, Alanis, and we can chat about it too. In the recent interview with Avatar creator, surprisingly, other recent movies have been released in 3D. And I haven't seen this and wasn't aware of this even being an option, Alanis. But these movies include Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, Thor: Love and Thunder, Jurassic World Dominion, and Minions: Rise of Gru, among others. First of all, Alanis, were you aware of this? And second of all, do we think that 3D will make a comeback after this new Avatar releases in December? And do we think the new Avatar movie will present 3D in a better and bigger way? Also, what other things do we think Avatar will use tech-wise to make this another must-see event movie? Now, first question, Alanis. What the fuck? What do you mean Jurassic World Dominion and all that was in 3D? There was never an option for us to see it in 3D.
I'm guessing the only place I can think of where you might have had it is where they've gone to IMAX. Not our standard cinemas here.
That's what I mean, man. Like, when he said, like, people have just forgotten about it, no. Like, if things were just being put in 3D at the cinemas all the time, I'm a big 3D person. I like 3D. I had two 3D televisions, so I'd be going to see all these movies in 3D. Like, if Jurassic World Dominion was like, they were like, do you want to see it in 2D or 3D? I'd be like, 3D. Like, of course, you know, like, I'm a fan. I know that it has its haters. I know people don't like it, but I like it. And according to James Cameron, it's still a fucking option. And unless that's America, like, being its mainstay, like, or certain select theaters, but it is definitely not a wide thing. Like,
I don't know Australia, no.
I mean,
James
dude,
Cameron, why are you lying to me?
you love those fucking Marvel, like, dude, you love Thor and Thor: Love and
Look,
Thunder.
look at
You
this
love
shit. How
Doctor
good would
Strange.
this be in 3D? Like this exact movie, Doctor Strange.
Dude, Doctor
Magic
Strange.
shit going everywhere.
I saw the fucking. I haven't seen that movie. I've seen the trailer. I've seen the cool effects it does. Kind of like what that weird city effect that they do on Spider-Man No Way Home or whatever. How like everything's like doubled or sucked, like up mirrored and shit. Like, dude, in 3D that would look fucking boss. And all of Doctor Strange 2, I believe, was that sort of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I'm so fucking confused on how James Cameron thinks this is still like a normal thing, and people are like, I see it in 3D. You know, like, I don't think there's been a 3D movie in cinemas since Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, around that era.
Yeah. The last movie I can remember having the option to see in 3D.
Probably Justice
League.
League.
The first Avengers movie, and that was 2012.
Really? No, see, mine's later than that because I went and saw Jurassic World, the original, that was 2015, 3D. What else was there in 3D that I saw way later than that? Like, remember the Jurassic Park movie got re-released in 3D too?
Yes.
There was a lot of releases in 3D later on, you know, like all the Harry Potter movies up until late, like the Fantastic Beasts movie, I think the first one was in 3D, possibly. But like, dude, I haven't seen that as an option. I remember when we watched the Jurassic World trailer, Dominion, and I saw on the title screen at the end of the trailer, Real D. And I was like, does that mean 3D's there? Because, as I said, I didn't even know. You know what I mean? And second of all, Alanis, do you think this Avatar is going to utilize 3D differently from the first one? Do you think it's going to be a spectacle? And do you think he's going to do more than just cool cinema, CG and 3D to make this a more must-see event? Because I feel like this movie needs to be more than just your standard what we got in Avatar with the 3D. Like this 3D, it almost should be like you don't need to wear glasses anymore. Like,
there's been a lot of murmurs of glassesless. I don't know if that's a word, but it is now. Glassesless 3D.
But do you see that being an option at the moment for cinemas? And do you see them installing that option before December? It's already coming up to October, and there's been no word on what this movie's going to like. Dude, I was like thinking James Cameron is waiting to release Avatar 2 for the technology. So I was thinking we were going to have like 4D cinemas. Like he was waiting for like the whole cinema experience to change, but nothing's changed. It's just subtracted the 3D. So what's this movie going to do?
I don't know if we'll see it in this movie, but I reckon we'll see it across this saga of movies. That's what there's 4 coming.
Yeah, dude, I can't believe they approved 4 Avatar movies without even seeing the sequel. Like, how do we know that the first movie wasn't lightning in a bottle? Like, how do we know that it wasn't because of the 3D technology utilized and people were like, whoa, 3D for the first time in like every 10 to 20 years, there's a 3D phase, whether it's the red and the blue glasses, whether it's once we got stereoscopic and people were like able to go see Avatar at 3D at the cinemas, like it was a new experience and people were blown away by 3D TV. As I said, it even like caused 3D TVs, like not just cinemas, but 3D TVs that were expensive. They released 3D TVs before there was Blu-rays for 3D, you know? So I don't know, man. It's just confusing because to me, Avatar needs to have a gimmick because that's what it was based on when that whole movie came out, was not just the movie being good, but it being a gimmick. And I'm sorry, but while it was fantastic to watch, and while it was a spectacle and while it was beautiful and it was well shot, the script and plot was very average, in my opinion.
Yeah, there was nothing new.
It was just Fern Gully.
Yeah, Pocahontas.
Like, it's been done. So what do you think they're going to do about Avatar 2? Do you think it's going to be as successful as Avatar 1? Do you think this is going to be a must-see event? And do you think that in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, we're going to be like, can't wait for that Avatar 3, going to see the real rain effects or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
I think James Cameron is a master of the sequel. So I have a lot of faith that it will deliver. I think we're hopefully maybe going to see a bit more of a expansion in story, or it comes into a bit of its own thing. Like they're not going to be treading water and repeating the same thing here. So I think it's going to be a bit more of its own kind of creation now for this next movie, and in 2 years the movie after that. So I think story might be the big drawer here, and I think James Cameron's pretty good with that kind of thing. So yeah.
Yeah, but look, I had high hopes when James Cameron would not attach himself to any Terminator movie because he thought they all sucked. And then Dark Fate came out. He was like, I'm back. I'm fully back. Like, this is my Terminator movie and come back. And that movie was fucking dog shit, bro. So does James Cameron still have it? That's what my question is. Like,
yes,
I feel like he's almost been so out of the game for so long since Avatar. Like, I almost feel like he's almost stuck in Avatar world. Like, dude, he thinks 3D is still just a general option for people. And I read some more articles on his review, and he's like, on his interview, and he was like, I guess people just aren't like your average film goers just want to go see a movie and it's easy. Whereas me, like someone like James Cameron, is a cinema buff who is happy to sit there with glasses on and look at every angle and be like, oh, I didn't notice that. Oh, I didn't notice that. And that's the problem, man, is if you're living in that bubble, like that's not general consumers that are watching your movie. Like most people are watching what's moving on the screen, dead center. They're not watching corners and shit. They're like seeing what the action is. They're not taking notice. And is 3D enough to bring people back to Avatar and make the action worth watching rather than just making it the same sort of like movie? You know, I don't know, man. It's just, I never thought Avatar was that fantastic of a movie except for its visual experience. Like, it blew everything out of the water in 3D. Even that came afterwards. There was nothing ever as good as that again in cinemas in 3D. It was just unbelievable how it was shot. So look, let's see, I guess, like, as you said, the best option to go see this movie, I guess, would probably be IMAX, and that's probably where we will go see it. But yeah, like, I refuse to see Avatar 2 Way of the Water in cinemas without 3D. Because, as I said, I feel like that is a subtraction from the movie and the whole point to what Avatar is. So, I guess we'll wait and see. That's December. It's not far away, Alanis. I actually couldn't believe that it's still coming out this December. When Aquaman got pushed and stuff, like, I swore that there was nothing coming out Christmas time. Like, think about what got pushed from this year. Like, the Super Mario Brothers movie was supposed to come out this December. Aquaman, like, all these big, like, holiday, like, it was either going to be like released Christmas, like around just before Christmas, or like they released it like Boxing Day, or you know, around those days, like big days. And when I saw all these movies get pushed back, I swore that Avatar 2 was one of them, but I guess I was wrong. How amped are you for this? Because I know you're a big Avatar.
I am pretty excited. I'm trying to have too many hopes these days in movies, but I've got some hopes for this one. I think it will be enjoyable. Well,
for your sake, and me having to sit through its sake, better be fucking good. We were going to go see Spider-Man No Way Home because it's No Way Home. No Way Home. God damn it, man. Fucking titles, you know. We were going to go see the final Spider-Man No Way Home on his re-release with director's cut. And we looked up times, and me and Alanis were going to go to IMAX, and we were going to watch it in 3D, and we were going to have a good old jolly good time together. And we would have had the movie not been showing for a week and a half, and that's it. Unbelievable, man.
That was not on for very long, which is weird.
But it's all good because we're going to watch it back to back on your day off, I still think. I don't know.
Yes. Next Thursday.
Yes, whenever that holiday is.
Yep.
Did you line up for 20 kilometers, man, to touch the coffin of the Queen?
I did, and I was actually going there just to see the Queen. I was lining up that long. Then it turns out she was dead. And
oh, no, man.
I was behind in the news.
Definitely.
We're cancelled in England now.
Oh, well, fuckers. Fuck. Monarchy. Bullshit. All right, let's move on before we say something that's going to cause some drama. This is kind of a funny story, and I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on this. As we have the game Multiverses, Karen. Now let's talk about this. Scooby-Doo's Velma is stripped of police calling powers in the game Multiverses after some gamers have branded her as a Karen. Multiverse, the new Brawl game, which was released a couple of months back, which features a similar gameplay style to the super successful Super Smash Bros. From Nintendo, a game that lets players select Nintendo and other game franchise characters to duke it out in a brawl match, has now removed a move given to Scooby-Doo character Velma. Velma had the power to call the police as an ability in the game that the players could use, and now that move has been scrapped due to some people labeling the character as a Karen, players were apparently upset that Velma could call the police on black characters such as LeBron James's black character from Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. Now, Alanis, I'm not going to even read the rest of this story because it's fucking stupid. But what do you think about this? What do you think about the backlash? And do you think that these people should just fuck off?
Yep.
Dude, like, get a life, man. Like, a kid's brawling game where you can play as Tom and Jerry, Scooby-Doo, Batman, Superman, and people are going to be like, nah. Karen, like, get fucked. Find a hole or dig a hole. Put yourself in it. Shut the dirt over yourselves. This fucking time.
And
this fucking day and age.
If you are offended, the fact you're offended offends me.
Yeah,
Man.
Karen. Instead of pot calling the kettle black, it's fucking Karen calling the Karen. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on to a real story that's not full of fucking idiots. And that is, we found out some information on the new Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now, we usually don't watch videos on our page anymore because we get stung by YouTube copyright claims, and we're sick of it because, as a matter of fact, the other day we used licensed music that we have the license to and got dinged. So we don't usually watch things on our channel anymore. But you know what? I'm going to upload this, and if it gets dinged, we're going to remove it. So if you see no trailer after this, it means I took it out.
Sorcery.
So, and you know what? People make reaction videos and shit. It's fucking nonsense. Like, dude, Universal Studios are the worst. They're the worst by far. Like, I'm going to give everyone a little inside information. Certain movie companies do not care if you watch something from their movies. Most of them don't give a shit. But anything that Universal Studios Pictures owns, do not even bother. Like, we watched the trailer for Barbie in the Pink Shoes, which came out in 2013 and was most likely a direct-to-home video release, which probably makes them $0 now. $0. We watched the trailer, minute and 16 seconds long, and we got dinged for it. I put in a dispute, and they found themselves in favor and still wanted to put the copyright claim in. We watched a trailer for Jurassic World Dominion by Universal Pictures, a trailer which is advertising a movie. So we watched an advertisement that they want people to see. And we advertise that advertisement, which means more people going to see your movie. And you want to hit us with a copyright claim when we don't even earn an income from this yet. You fucking dogs. I fucking hate Universal Pictures, man. They're fucking assholes. So, with that, let's get on to Assassin's Creed Mirage. And let's have a look at this trailer. Because, first of all, have you watched it yet, Alan?
I have not. So this is new to me, this trailer.
That's good. I wanted you to not watch it yet because I wanted to get your live thoughts on it. And hopefully people at home can still see this. If not. All right, let's check it out, Alan. You ready?
I am ready.
We're going to Mirage this. Mirage. Let's do it.
Peggy 18.
Peggy 18.
Hey,
Raptors.
My son is hot. Are you ready to give up who you once thought you were?
I am.
Ready to sacrifice everything you have close.
I am.
Are you ready to leave your life behind and watch the past shadows?
I am.
Then out of the dark, you will come into the light. And from the light, you will return to the dark. Never forget the tenets you have sworn to uphold. Stay your blade from the flesh of the innocent. Hide in plain sight. Never compromise the brotherhood. From this day forward, you are a hidden one.
Assassin's Creed Mirage coming 2023.
So, I'm going to quickly read something to everyone, and then we can discuss said trailer we just watched. In a press conference that Ubisoft held on September 10th, we were given a glimpse into a few upcoming Ubisoft titles. While the overall showcase was a pretty big disappointment, we did get our first look at the upcoming Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is set to release on without an actual date, but in 2023. Assassin's Creed Mirage take place in Baghdad in 700 BC. Is that correct? Would that be correct, Alanis?
yes, I think so.
And it will apparently take Assassin's Creed back to its roots. What does this mean? It means the RPG 80-hour Assassin's Creed style games such as Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and Assassin's Creed Valhalla will be taking a backseat to what Assassin's Creed initially was. Assassin's Creed started off as an open-world adventure stealth action game, but slowly evolved into what we know as Assassin's Creed today. While these last three RPG-style Assassin's Creed games have been a critical success and have been extremely successful with players also, the games became more and more bloated and almost became too big for most players. I personally like the direction they are taking this game, and the new trailer they released seems promising. We also got to look into the future of Assassin's Creed and its expanding game. Is it Assassin's Creed Infinity or
Infinity, yeah.
which was explained as a hub where future Assassin's Creed games will release and make that hub expand with every new entry in the franchise. These future installments seem to be smaller in comparison to a mainline Assassin's Creed game, but could be cool if done right. With the announcement of this hub and the idea behind it, we're introduced to our first entries that will debut on this platform, with one 30-second trailer showing the first entry being set in Japan. I think it's called Assassin's Creed Red. And another one called Assassin's Creed Hex, which seems to maybe getting a witchcraft backdrop to the game and maybe referencing the famous witch trials from the 1600s that apparently took place in Germany. Alanis, what do we think about this new direction for Assassin's Creed going back to its roots? What do we think about the new going back to Baghdad like the first game initially was? And what do we think about the future platform, Assassin's Creed Infinity?
I really like the idea of Mirage, the ever-expanding hub MMO. I don't know. I don't know if I like that idea.
No, but Mirage looks awesome. And
absolutely.
While we didn't see any gameplay, they kind of gave hints as to how this gameplay is going to work. It literally looks like what Assassin's Creed 1, 2, 3, Brotherhood, all those games did. Which, you've got your viewpoints to open, like your eagle points or whatever. You've got, and mainly focusing on stealth. You've got, crowds of people. You've got the same outfit that Altair and all that have on from the original games. It just feels like Assassin's Creed's going back to what people know Assassin's Creed for and what it always should have kind of been. What do you think about them ditching the RPG style, Alanis? And what do you think about the fact that this is going to be a less big game? Like, we've heard that this is probably going to be your average 10 to 15, maybe 20-hour Assassin's Creed game. It's losing a lot of the fat. What do you think?
I like that because everything seems to bloat itself these days. And when it kind of started doing that, you had Assassin's Creed, which are these games that weren't that bloated. They were more kind of, well, I wouldn't say linear, but more...
It's just classic sandbox open world. It's like GTA, Red, it's just an action. It's not up. There's no fucking leveling your things up. No armor that you just collect, and it's got stronger power or higher numbers. And there's not numbers coming out of your fucking enemies' heads while you're beating them to death and shit. Like, it just feels like a more streamlined sandbox game rather than so open ended. And my biggest problem with Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Valhalla, not so much with Origins. I didn't find Origins too overwhelming because with Origins, you start off in your hometown, which is a good chunk of gameplay. It's a few hours at least. And you slowly build outwards with this map. And you build outwards and you build outwards, and then you suddenly unlock Giza, the pyramids of Giza, and you unlock Alexandria and all the open plains of Egypt. But then when you get into something like Odyssey, which literally sets the story up and then is there you go. Or Valhalla, which is sets the story up and is there you go. And by the way, this is 100 hours long just to complete story content or all the side missions and stuff included. When it becomes a list of fucking actions to do, like The Witcher 3, that's what I hated about these Assassin's Creed games. I loved Valhalla, don't get me wrong, it was great, but it was too long and I never finished it. I never finished Odyssey. I did finish Origins, but I just felt like they were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, as much as I like Assassin's Creed games, they outstay their welcome. And I feel like this is a good step to take to kind of bring people back in that they lost maybe. But it's also a gutsy choice to make too, because as I said, these last 3 Assassin's Creed games have probably been the most critically acclaimed and the most loved by people that were never Assassin's Creed fans to begin with. So... do you agree with all that, Alana?
Absolutely. I played I played a lot of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, but I think in the big scheme there, I barely scratched the surface. It's that big, and yeah.
Dude, apparently that character from Mirage is from Valhalla. as was in it, and I was like, everyone's like, oh, that's that dude, whatever his name is, from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and everyone's like, oh, you're right, and I'm like, what? Like, how many hours in was this motherfucker? You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what? Like, I've reclaimed like every part of the map except for maybe 1 or 2 territories, and I'm like, I'm never going back to this game.
Yeah.
I like that it's also going back to what Assassin's Creed is, which is like the Assassin's Creed story, if you want to go with actual history and stuff like that, Templars and all that, where they were heading with this game didn't make any sense in that plot narrative that time. Like, you know, Egypt, Greece, like, I feel good that it's going back to a Middle Eastern country where the Templars kind of make more sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then again, it's a video game, so who gives a fuck about actual, like, real-world logistics, huh? So what's your hype level for that, Alanis, as we finish up with sort of our last story before we get into our new segment called Quick Bits, which is just me throwing some random facts of news out there that we're going to have a quick discussion about. How do you feel about that?
I'm pretty excited for this game, especially knowing it's a little smaller, it's going to be easier digested, and it's going to be truer to what they used to be.
From the moment they unveiled it, literally my words were, finally, a game that is made for me again.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's been so many years since we've gotten that formula that I like. Like, Red Dead Redemption 2 is the formula that I like. Red Dead, GTA, like those Batman Arkham City, Batman Arkham Asylum, like these games are great. And then they started making everything free to play, everything fucking microtransactions, fucking just crap. And I'm worried about Gotham Knights a little bit with its MMO sort of aspect that it's got. I'm worried about, like, I was really excited for Saints Row. We proved how fucking terrible that game is. Like, games just aren't speaking to me like they once were. And this was the first game that's released a trailer where I'm like, oh, I'm in, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I guess we'll see what happens with Assassin's Creed Mirage. It releases in 2023, which is kind of weird because pre-orders are already up. Why do you pre-order the games these days? Like, who the fuck pre-orders anymore, man? Like, unless it was like pre-save, like preload, like you can load that game up so that the moment midnight clicks over or whatever, when the time clicks, you can click enter. Like, that was the only reason, to just preload it. And then even then, it's like, my internet downloads a big game now in like fucking half an hour. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. When's the last time you pre-ordered a game?
I can't recall.
Dude, the last time I pre-ordered a game was when there was probably a midnight launch at like EB Games.
Yeah.
For Call of Duty or some shit.
I think the last time I can remember pre-ordering was maybe the last Mass Effect game. Maybe.
Andromeda. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh. I can remember one of the last times that I went to a midnight launch, and that was for Super Mario Odyssey. On the same day it had Wolfenstein 2 release, as well as Assassin's Creed something. All in the one day. That was a pretty good time. But yeah, dude, if you still pre-order games, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah.
Especially in this day and age when games are just so flimsy. That's something I want to bring up with you, Alanis. What do you think the likelihood is of us ever seeing another video game crash like what happened with E.T. and the Atari in the late 80s, early 90s, where before Super Nintendo sort of, it was early, mid 80s, because Nintendo came out 89 and stuff. So like, do you think that's a possibility ever again? Because the problem, it's not that games aren't popular. Like, games were popular back then. It was huge. Like, everyone had an Atari and shit. The problem was oversaturation, too many games coming out that were the same as each other, and players getting tired of the bullshit that went along with having glitchy games, having games that weren't like all that fantastic. And I just feel like that's kind of what we're seeing now is games getting rushed out the door, games having multiple problems on launch, games not sitting and resonating with people like they once were. And I don't know. What do you feel about the possibility of that ever being something that happens again?
I don't know. I think it'll be harder because being with the internet and things getting hot patched and stuff like that. But I can kind of see in a way it might go in that direction. I see it a lot.
Cyberpunk, Saints Row, like we're not learning.
Yeah, pre-orders as well. The last one was actually Dark Pictures anthology, so it was actually quite recent. But only reason was to get the curator's cut straight away rather than waiting for it. So it was content.
Yeah, see, that's the thing is when they're offering you bonuses and shit, I just think that's them being like, we're getting your money, you know what I mean? Like, dude, if you pre-order a game now and you pay full price pre-order and that game comes out and it's Saints Row, that's what I mean, man. You just bet it away. You just bet it away. Before we get into our quick bits, we're going to discuss something which I forgot what we were going to talk about. And that is why we are not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. I'm writing that out while I was talking. So 1 second. Why we are not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends, you might ask. Now, get into a little quick topic of this, Alliance. You know what? Fuck it. I tried to write it out and then it said, no cookies, whatever, your cookies cannot be found. So it wouldn't let me to write a title out. Let's just talk about it. Do you know why we're not sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends? Because it's a shit game.
Who plays Raid Shadow Legends?
That's what I mean, man. Look at all these people fucking advertising it on their podcast. What one person do you know is like, I'm playing Raid Shadow Legends? If someone said that to you, you'd be like, huh. Oh, you're serious? You know what I mean? Like, fuck me, man. Like, how desperate are they too? Like, are you a podcast? Are you guys a podcast? Are you guys a podcast? You want to be sponsored by Raid Shadow Legend? Just everyone, Raid Shadow Legends. Everyone's sponsored by them. Papua New Guinea, Raid Shadow Legends.
Who and why?
I've never once even like known what they were talking about. I was like, is this like a RPG? Is this like an MMO? Is this like a mobile game? Like, it just looks like a trash game. Like, this is what I mean by, will we ever see another video game crash? With Raid Shadow Legends, who the fuck knows? You know what I mean? And is there anything else you want to add on to this quick little conversation about why we aren't sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends?
Not really, but we probably aren't going to be now either. Which is a shame because...
By the way, Raid Shadow Legend, if you want to sponsor us, hit us up. We'll take it on. We'll be like, hey, you guys ever played Raid Shadow Legends? Well, now's your chance.
It's a great game, and I think you should play it.
This highly intense game of Raid Shadow Legends brings the action of real life to your door.
You step into the boots of a Shadow Legend as you raid.
Sponsored by Manscaped. Combine the two, Raid. Manscaped, Shadow Legend. Fuck. So, with that, let's get into our quick bits. Goldeneye, Zelda, and more. Let's have a quick talk about it. The more is also God of War, Ragnarok. Got a new trailer. We're not going to watch that now. We've already run out of time as this show goes for an hour, and it's an hour and 1 minute. So, Alanis, let's quickly dive into this before we fuck off. What do you think about GoldenEye being re-announced for Nintendo Switch? Personally, it doesn't do anything for me because every GoldenEye remaster or remake that's been brought out has been trash. And I don't expect much different from a console that's way past its lifespan now on Switch, looking all that fantastic, running all that fantastic, and the day of couch co-op has gone the way of the dinosaur, and that's what Goldeneye was. And I just don't see Goldeneye ever reaching the heights of online play like that. I don't think the maps are built for online structure like that. Like they're kind of meant for couch co-op, like so you can like face a wall. People are like, what wall's he facing? And looking on the fucking, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. What do you feel about this, Alanis?
Yeah, if it plays well, I might play it for nostalgia, but I'll play it for about 5 minutes and go, well, that was good nostalgia, and I'll be done.
Yeah, that's all it is. Zelda, Breath of the Wild 2 got a new title. I think it's called Tears of the Kingdom. Now, Alanis, what does this do for you? Did you like Breath of the Wild? Are you a Zelda fan? What?
I haven't played a Zelda game since Ocarina of Time.
Jesus.
Yeah.
When's the last time you played Ocarina of Time, though? Did you play the 3DS remaster? Like,
I did not. Last time I played it was on a 64, and I would have been maybe 19, so we'll say 20 years ago.
What a great game, by the way. And I'm sorry, but yeah, there has not been a Zelda game that even comes close to Ocarina of Time, in my opinion. I think Majora's Mask was trash. I think that Skyward Sword was terrible on Wii. Twilight Princess sucked because of changing into the werewolf all the time. And Breath of the Wild just seems like it's too open-ended and not enough plot/narrative stuff to keep me interested. It's just like this big open world. And people like there's temples and there's fucking things to collect. And yeah, but what about Zelda? You know? What happened to Zelda, you know? And also, quickly, God of War, as I said, got a new trailer. Just looks like God of War. One of the first PlayStation exclusives that I've been not very amped about. I didn't really like the first one all that much. It was okay. It was just, again, it didn't speak to me. I feel like this game is just going to be more of that. So while I would definitely give it a go, because most Sony party first games is worth giving a go, probably play through it once. It's nothing that's jumping out at me, you know. And last little thing is PSVR2 officially had hands-on by most people in the gaming sector. They played what is it, Horizon Call of the Mountain, like the VR Horizon game. They've had hands-on and stuff, and from what I hear, this thing sounds legit. They have said it isn't like a down-res version of games and stuff. It is literally PS5 graphics, Horizon, and you're in the middle of it.
Very nice.
Is this going to lift your hopes of getting a PlayStation soon? Are you getting a PlayStation sooner because of VR? Is this a selling point for you at all? Do you even care about VR?
I think I'll need to see where it's at before I rush out. I don't think I'll be on launch day, but it does. It is interesting. My ears are slightly pricked up.
If you don't have a PlayStation 5 though, and you want PSVR on a launch day, you better have a lot of fucking money. Because what's your estimate for this PSVR 2? Because before you say that, before I get your guess, I want you to take into it the fact that PlayStation 5 just got a price hike after being out for 2 years. It has gone up $50 in most territories because of how much parts are costing Sony to manufacture these consoles now, with the chip shortage and stuff from, you know, their manufacturers due to the pandemic and things like that. So with that in mind, what do you think the PSVR is going to be priced at?
I'm going to say 700
Australian dollars, by the way. Everyone that's watching at home, Australian dollars. Now, I'm not going to say 700. I'm going to say that's a bit steep because they've always been the cheapest option, but always been a competitor to the competition. And I think $700 isn't enough to separate them from what Oculus can bring you as well. But also, I've heard this is better than Oculus, so who knows? But I can't see you paying more for a peripheral of the console than the actual console. But then again, the PSVR, when I bought it, it was like all up. Like you had to buy the camera, the Move controllers, the PSVR games. I think it was like $880, $890 by the end of it. And I'd say that if you buy a game with it, you buy the controllers for it. Yes, maybe you're looking at over $700. The unit on its own, Who knows if that's even an option? I doubt it. Maybe you can play with your DualSense like you could with the PS4 controller, DualShock. But all I know is that you better have a PS5 already. And if you don't, get ready to spend a lot. And if you already have a PS5, get ready to pretty much buy one again, because that's what it's going to cost you. So I'm very excited for this, but again, the price is what's worrying me, because if I see a high price tag, I just immediately write things off. Like, fuck it. I'll wait till it comes down, and then by the time it comes down, I'm like, there's a better one coming. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll wait. Anyways, Alanis, that has been Pop Vultures, episode 4. We talked a lot about Michael Myers, Ghostface, 3D, James Cameron, Karen, Mirage, Zelda, Goldeneye, PSVR. And now, a word from our sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. No, if you haven't already, go check out our ranked and reviewed episode that just dropped today. Sunday. It dropped Sunday, which is Alien vs. Predator from 2004, making it the second last movie in the Predator franchise that we are ranking and reviewing. We are at the finish line with Requiem coming next week, Sunday. Coming up this week also, our Halloween, Rob Zombie Halloween 2007 review. The week after that, Halloween Kills. 2 days after the Halloween Kills review. No, sorry, Halloween, then Halloween Kills. 2 days after Halloween Kills, our review drops. Halloween Ends review will be dropping. And we are also going to be diving into the Alien movies coming up, alongside continuing our video game ranked and reviewed series. We've already done Uncharted, Tomb Raider, the original Super Mario Brothers movie. And we're following it up with Detective Pikachu and the 2 Sonic movies that have just been made. I asked Alan if he wanted to do the Tomb Raider movies, the original ones with fucking... What's her name in it? What's her name again?
Angelina Jolie.
That's it. Cradle of Life and all that shit. And Alanis' actual reaction was, yeah. So, we decided to put that on the shelf. There's a lot of video game movies that we got to watch that are not going to be fun. Mortal Kombat. So, Alanis, anything else you want to say to the Vulturees out there?
Download Raid Shadow Legends today.
Or Multiverses, and then send in a big fucking argument to WB Gamers and be like, I want my fucking police calling powers back. I'm a Karen. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am your host, as always, Tommy West. And joining me, as always, has been my co-host, Alanis Maximus. And we're going to paint that wagon good. Happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. All right. See ya next episode, guys. Peace.